یک دقیقه بایستیم و سکوت کنیم.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us for a moment of silence.
مهاجر فعل هجرت را یکسان صرف نمی کند. ما هر کدام به امیدی ترک وطن کردیم. هیچ آدمی خانه اش را ولو خانه‌ای روی آب به همین سادگی بی خود و بی جهت رها نمی کند که برود. چراییش برای هر آدمی با دیگری فرق می کند. اما بعد هجرت ما همه دلتنگی های بی حد پربلایمان را یکسان صرف می کنیم. هر بار که سواران اسب بزرگ آهنی می شویم نمی دانیم به خانه می رویم یا بر می گردیم. مهاجر به شوق زندگی پرواز می کند. اما حکایت ما مهاجران خزانپذیر ایرانی حکایت پرنده های مهاجر زاینده رود بیرود است. ما می خواستیم همین یک بار فرصت زندگی را زندگی کنیم، اما در آسمان و زمین و کوه و دریا پرپر می شویم. حالا مانده ایم با دندان خشم بر جگر خسته بسته و ذکر مدام هیهات بر لبهایمان از این جانهای جوانی که بی جان شد و هزار امید بنی آدم که برباد رفت. ما خانواده بزرگ تیرگان امروز اینجا گرد هم آمدیم. دستهای یکدیگر را بگیریم تا مرهم باشیم بر داغی که بر دلمان گذاشتند. باشد که بتوانیم دوباره قد راست کنیم.
Good morning. My name is Kian Nademi, and together with Banafsha Tahirian, on behalf of the Tirgan family, we'd like to express our sincere gratitude to everyone for joining us today at the memorial ceremony for the victims of the Iran plane crash. All we can do is come together and honor their incredible lives and remember the joy that they brought into ours. We would also like to thank Deputy Minister Chrystia Freeland for being with us today, as well as Premier Doug Ford, as well as Mayor John Tory, as well as other members of the provincial and federal government, as well former Minister of Research, Innovation and Science, Dr. Reza Moredi, as well as the chancellors, vice presidents, and provosts from the University of Toronto.
وقت بخیر خانم ها و آقایان. بنفشه طاهریان هستم در کنار کیان نادمی به نمایندگی از خانواده تیرگان از اینکه امروز برای ادای احترام به تمامی از دست رفتگان پرواز 752 و همدردی با بازماندگان آنها در کنار ما هستید از صمیم قلب سپاسگزاری می‌کنم. در آیین یاد بود امروز شنونده چند سخنرانی و اجرای موسیقی خواهیم بود و با مروری بر شرح حال مسافرین عزیزانمون رو برای بار آخر بدرقه خواهیم کرد. اجازه می‌خوایم تا پیش از شروع برنامه ادای احترام کنیم به خاک سرزمینی که مردمان میهمان پذیرش به گرمی میزبان ما مهاجران بودند و در این روزهای سخت با مهر در کنار ما ایستادند. باشد تا فردا روزی ما هم میزبانان نیکویی برای تازه مهاجران باشیم.
Today's program includes a few speakers, some musical performances. As well, we will be showing you the pictures of all our dear loved ones that we've lost on Flight 752 and share some words about them as we say our last goodbyes. We'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the land that we are fortunate enough to be standing on tonight. This is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, the Inuit and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation.
با هم بدرقه می‌کنیم. اولین گروه از مسافران پرواز 752.
We now say goodbye to the first group of passengers from Flight 752.
مجتبی سروش عباس نژاد, age 26, from Toronto. سروش در آخرین توییتش پای پرواز نوشته بود من پیش بینی می‌کردم دم پروازم جنگ بشه. آقا خوبی بدی دیدید حلال کنیم.
Iman Agha Balai, age 28, from Hamilton. He always celebrated Iranian traditions with our community.
بهناز ابراهیمی, age 26, and her sweet son, my dear student. Ramteen Ahmadi, age 9, from Toronto.
Mahsa Amirli Ravi, age 30, and Mohsena Salehi, age 31, from Toronto.
Farid Araste, age 32. He was in Iran to get married last Sunday during his university break. His wife remained in Iran waiting for a visa to join her new husband in Canada.
Arshia Arbab Bahrami, age 17, from Calgary.
Arshia آرزو داشته دکتر بشه. Ervin Arsalani, age 30, with her husband Hiva Molani, age 38, and Cordia Molani, age 1, from Ajax, Ontario. Cordia کوچکترین مسافر این پرواز بود.
Mohammad Asad Lori, age 23, and his sister Zainab Asad Lori, age 21. Mohammad was a medical student at the University of Toronto.
Roja Azarian was supposed to travel to Canada for the first time with her husband, who has been studying at Algonquin College in Ottawa, but a mix-up over his ticket meant he couldn't get on the plane with her.
Ganimat Ajdari, from Guelph, Ontario. a proud woman from a tribal territory in Iran, and was a PhD student at the University of Guelph.
Hamid Reza Satare, age 31, and his wife, Samira Bashiri, age 29, from Windsor, Ontario.
Amir Moradi, age 22, a student at Queen's University.
Maryam Aghamiri and her husband, Shahrukh Iqbali, and their beautiful daughter, Shahzad.
Hamid Reza and his son, Avadi. At this time, we'd like to invite the Tirgan president, Mehrdad Arian Nejad.
Thank you, Banafsha Jan and Kian Jan. It's very difficult to speak after this emotional moment. Esteemed officials, distinguished guests, members of the Iranian Canadian community, our fellow Canadians. My name is Mehrdad Arian Nejad, and I'm co-founder and CEO of Tirgan, a Canadian charity that promotes and produces Iranian-themed cultural festivals and artistic programs in Toronto, a city region that is home to well over 100,000 people from Iran and ranks as one of the world's leading centers of the Iranian diaspora. On behalf of the extended Tirgan family, I'm honored to welcome you to this special memorial event at Convocation Hall at the University of Toronto to honor the 176 lives that were lost on January 8 on Ukraine International Airlines flight number 752, shortly after it took off from the Tehran International Airport. Three of the victims, Parinaz Qaderpanah, Iman Qaderpanah, Golbabapur, were actively involved in Tirgan as volunteers. And two Parisa Iqbalian and Rira Ismailion were the wife and daughter of Dr. Hamid Ismailion, our jury member and panelist. I would like to extend my heartfelt condolences to the families, friends, and colleagues of all those who perished last Wednesday in one of the worst air disasters in living memory. The same goes for all Canadians who have come together as a caring and sympathetic national community in this time of great sadness. Special thanks are due to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau for standing firm in the wake of this tragedy in his demand for answers and justice. We now know that the aircraft was shot down by the anti-aircraft missiles that was fired by the Iranian armed forces. The majority of the passengers were either Canadian citizens or were on their way to officially joining our national family. This is the worst tragedy to befall the Iranian Canadian community in our history and among the worst aviation disasters in Canadian history. Shock has given way to grief and increasingly to anger as we seek to cope and come to terms with this tragedy. We must demand justice from Islamic Republic authorities and demand answers and compensation for the negligence and lack of regard for human life that has led to this tragedy. We must hold to account a culture which values death over life and sadness and tears over joy. I would like to extend my condolences to the people of Iran who have borne the brunt of the Islamic Republic's misdeeds over the past few decades. I have been moved by the way Canadian communities have pulled together across this vast country and the way the media and our officials have responded to the events of the past few days. From the west to prairies to Ontario, Quebec, and Maritimes, countless Canadian families, communities, and educational institutions have been affected by these devastating losses and have come together as one national family to offer each other support at this difficult moment. As such, this tragedy has brought greater unity to the vast geographic expanse of our country, Canada, and has shown how much all immigrants, especially those from Iran, contribute to our economic and social well-being. Since we are gathered here at Canada's largest university, which has served as a central gathering place for so many of our community's cultural, social, and academic events, I would also like to extend my heartfelt sympathies to all Canada's educational institutions, since the loss to our scientific and engineering and other academic communities has been so great. This week's special features in the Toronto Star, the Globe and Mail, as well as the journal Academic Affairs have all taken stock of touching portraits of such promising lives that were cut short due to dysfunctional politics and institutional incompetence. In the wake of such a devastating tragedy, it is especially difficult to ponder the question of whether anything positive can emerge from the cascade of bad news that has affected our community and all Canadians in recent days. But precisely because this is so difficult, we must do our utmost as individuals, community members, and as Canadians to ensure that the lives lost weren't taken in vain. To accomplish this goal, in the coming weeks and months, we have to put our emphasis on the values and commitments that bring us together and unite us in common cause and building a better Canada and a better world. We have ensured that the great energy and goodwill that has been generated by this tragedy is harnessed and not allowed to dissipate. As we grieve together, let us hope that this tragedy, heart-wrenching as it is, will in time lead to a stronger, more caring, and more united Canada. In the words of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who has provided exceptional leadership in these difficult times, a Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian. In the work of the recent tragedy and the way it has been handled by Canadian institutions, these words ring truer than ever before. In the end, I would like to extend my gratitude to Mr. Ali Ehsasi, Member of Parliament, Mr. Michael Parsa, Member of Provincial Parliament, Tirgan volunteers, and all the organizations who joined forces with us to realize today's event on such short notice. On behalf of Tirgan family, thank you for being here and lending your support.
با هم بدرقه می‌کنیم. گروه دوم مسافران پرواز 752.
We now say goodbye to the second group of passengers from flight number 752.
Mohammed Amin Beiruti, age 29, from Toronto, PhD computer science student at the University of Toronto, who dreamed of working one day for Google or Microsoft.
Degar Borei, age 29, from Montreal, a master's student at McGill University.
Shokufe Chupan Nejad, age 56, with her two beautiful daughters, Sara Saudat, age 23, Sabah Saudat, age 21, from Edmonton.
Dilaram Dadash Nejad, age 26, from Vancouver.
Dr. Mojgan Daneshmand, age 43, associate professor at University of Alberta, Canada researcher, and her husband, Dr. Pedram Mousavi, professor of mechanical engineer, age 47, and their two beautiful daughters, Darina, age 9, and Doria, age 14.
Asghar Dirani, age 74, from Toronto.
Dr. Parisa Iqbalian, age 42, and Rira Ismailian, age 9, از داوطلبان تیرگان، همسر و فرزند حامد اسماعیلیون، نویسنده سرشناس ایرانی. آخ که ریرا پدر بدون چشمای درخشان تو چه کند؟
Mohammad Mahdi Eliasi, age 28, from Toronto. He co-founded a company called ID Green Inc. in early 2019, which creates crop monitoring services for potato.
Dr. Shaikh Asad, age 58, from Asad. Liza Kassaki, age 46, with her two beautiful children, Dorsa, age 17, and Daniel, age 8, from Richmond Hill. Hiram Kassaki, from Toronto. Fiona Hosny, age 19, from Toronto. Akash Arani Vakansha, Mr. Vaksha Raja Yesu, Amra Krishan, Bida Takusha, Mama Vaja, Kira Vakish, Amon Agami, Pizari Megwan, But push everyone, and Canada Tehran, but the level of China and Canada. How about the time of Europe? Are you comment? Thank you to Canada for standing with us, Iranian Canadians, during these sad and bitter days, and reminding us that we're not alone. During these dark times, we can take comfort knowing that we have a nation behind us, supporting us and making us feel like we're home. We'd now like to invite the Mayor of Toronto to the stage, Mr. John Tory.
Thank you, Chancellor, Deputy Prime Minister, fellow elected representatives, and ladies and gentlemen. I want to begin by thanking the organizers, especially Asad and Dee and Michael Garza and Tehran family who I know so well. I want to thank each and every one of you who made the CD on short notice how many people would come out and ensure there was a chance time and space here in the convocation hall. And may I begin, as others have done before me, by extending a behalf of the members of the Toronto City Council and all of the people of the City of Toronto, to the families and victims, to their co-workers, to their fellow students, to their fellow academics, and their friends and fellow community members, our deepest condolences on this tragic loss of life. Au nom de tous les habitants de la ville de Toronto, nous nous condoléances pour l'attente des 57 Canadiens et laissez-nous soutenir leurs amis et leurs familles dans cette heure difficile. May I, at the same time as I did at Madison Square the other night, say that I stand behind our Prime Minister. I think we all do, but I stand behind our Prime Minister demanding both answers and justice on behalf of all of the very same people, of the victims and the families and the co-workers and the parents of this terrible disaster. They need answers and they deserve answers. And I hope in the days to come we will see other countries whose citizens were not directly affected stand beside Canada and stand beside our citizens who were lost, as we proudly do so often for them when instances like this happen, because I think this will help not only in the search for justice and making sure justice is done, but I think it will help in the healing process as well. But the biggest single contributor to that healing process will be what we do best as Torontonians and as Canadians. We stand together. We've heard already that this country and the city have come together to support those directly affected and to support each other, because it's a tragedy for all of us to comfort each other at an extraordinarily difficult time. Well, I know it's a very different situation. I was struck by the fact in the aftermath of the Yonge Street van attack and those deeply affected by that, how much it meant to them, because they told me it did, to see the community come together, to see and experience visuals like this, because they do make a difference to the people who matter the most in all of us, because they knew from those visuals and from all the acts of kindness that people they would have thought of as strangers reached out to them in some way to take care and to comfort and to console. And today is one such opportunity, and I know that there will be other ways that will emerge in the days ahead in which we can provide support and comfort to all of these people affected. All of the victims are human beings. The 57 Canadians were, of course, Canadians, as the Prime Minister said, but I think it is very necessary today to specifically acknowledge that our Iranian Canadian community was particularly hard hit. And whether it is just fellow citizens, because that's the most important bond that we share together, or as professional, academic students, community leaders, or children. Children. You saw the pictures of the crash site and the little shoes and the toys, and you have to ask yourself the question, what kind of world would have a fate involve those children like this? But they were people, as you can see, were all of those things from the victims we've taken to so far, and they were among the best and the brightest that we have for the country. And indeed, that's been my entire experience with the Iranian community, the Canadian community over many years. Accomplished, hardworking, cultured, gentle people who love their homeland, who are deeply saddened by what has happened there, but people who also love Canada and have not only forged incredible lives for themselves here, coming from very difficult circumstances, but have also made a huge contribution to the well-being of other Canadians and to the benefit of their adopted cities and adopted land and their adopted country. And so I think to that effect,
we are behind you, we are beside you, we respect and we love you for what and who you are to us in this city and in this country. And in conclusion, may I say that we should let this horrible tragedy strengthen our resolve even further to keep pushing away from a polarized, angry world, and remind ourselves that here in Toronto, Canada, we haven't achieved perfection, but we do offer a way of life founded on respect, on understanding, on acceptance, on love, on support for democratic principles, and most importantly, on support for each other. And now more than ever, our words and actions must recommit ourselves to that path, the right path, that allows us to say without too much fear of contradiction that we live in the greatest city and the greatest country in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We now invite Sina Batai on stage to play the Santour.
ای ساربان آهستران کارام جانم می رود، وان دل که با خود داشتم با دل ستانم می رود. من ماندم مهجور از او، بیچاره و رنجور از او. گویی که نیشی دور از او در استخوانم می رود. گفتم به نیرنگ و فسون پنهان کنم ریشه درون، پنهان نمی ماند که خون بر آستانم می رود. محمل بدار ای ساروان، تندی مکن با کاروان، که از عشقان سر به روان گویی روانم می رود. او می رود دامن کشان، من زهر تنهایی چشان، دیگر مپرس از من نشان، از دل نشانم می رود. بازآی و بر چشمم نشین ای دل ستان نازنین، کآشوب و فریاد از زمین بر آسمانم می رود. در رفتن جان از بدن گویند هر نوعی سخن، من خود به چشم خویشتن دیدم که جانم می رود. بگذار تا بگریم چون ابر در بهاران، که سنگ ناله خیزد روز وداع یاران. هر کو شراب فرقت روزی چشیده باشد، داند که سخت باشد قطع امیدواران. با ساربان بگویید احوال آب چشمم، تا بر شتر نبندد مهمل به روز باران. بگذاشتند ما را در دید آب حسرت، گریان چو در قیامت چشم گناهکاران. ای صبح شب نشینان جانم به طاقت آمد، از بس که دیر ماندی چون شام روزداران. چندین که برشمردم از ماجرای عشقت، اندوه دل نگفتم الا یک از هزاران. سعدی به روزگاران مهری نشسته در دل، بیرون نمیتوان کرد الا به روزگاران. چندت کنم حکایت شرح اینقدر کفایت، باقی نمیتوان گفت الا به غمگساران. بگذار تا بگریم چون ابر در بهاران. با هم بدرقه میکنیم. سومین گروه مسافران پرواز 752.
We now say goodbye to the third group of passengers from flight number 752. Aida Farzaneh, age 37, a PhD student and lecturer, and her husband Arvin Morattab, age 37, from Montreal.
Shakiba Faqahati, age 39, and her adorable son, Rastin Moqaddam, age 9, from King City. بعد از 8 سال برای دیدار خانواده رفتن ایران.
Marzieh Furutan, age 37, a PhD student in geography at the University of Waterloo.
Harinaz Qadir Pana, age 33, and Iman Qadir Pana, age 34, from Toronto. Harinaz و ایمان از اعضای خانواده تیرگان بودن که برای همیشه یاد، مهر و لبخندشون در قلب و خاطر داوطلبان تیرگان باقی میمونه.
Sara Mamani, age 36, and Siavash Ghafouri Azar, age 35, from Montreal. The couple was returning from their wedding in Iran.
Amir Hossein Qasemi, from Winnipeg.
Milad Qasemi Ariani, age 32, from Guelph, Ontario, a PhD student at the University of Guelph.
Mahdi Qasemi, age 38, an architect, won an award for building a Tim Hortons just days before she embarked on a family trip to her homeland with her beautiful children. Arsama Niazi, age 11, and Arnika Niazi, age 8.
Masouma Ghavi, age 30, and Mahdiya Ghavi, age 20, from Halifax. Mahdiya was traveling to Canada for the first time with her older sister to start medical school at Dalhousie University.
Faride Gholami, age 38, was on the plane with her husband, Razgar Rahimi, a seasonal lecturer at Ontario Tech University, and their son, Jivan Rahimi, age 3.
Masoud Shatirpur Khiaban, a postgraduate student in business administration at York University.
Arad Zari, age 18, student at Richmond Green Secondary School in Richmond Hill. He was in Iran to visit his mother.
We now invite Member of Parliament Ali Ehsasi on stage to say a few words.
Thank you very, very much. Madam Chancellor, Deputy Prime Minister, Mr. Premier, esteemed colleagues, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. As the enormity of the Tehran crash sets in, it feels impossible to accept the profoundness of our circumstance. But this tragedy has certainly revealed the true essence of our country. We can never comprehend the burden of pain their families bear, but their mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, partners and children should most definitely feel secure in the knowledge that their loved ones impacted all of us. Our hearts ache, and we are all pained to the core. Those passengers were relentlessly daring and irrepressibly brave. They shared the courage and drive to leave the familiar comforts of their original home, firm in the conviction of building anew in a far-off land. It also took immense courage for many to leave loved ones behind at such uncertain times. As we've learned, even on January 8th, as they said their farewells in Tehran, many were stricken with worry for those being left behind. But they bore that burden with an eye to the future. These were hopeful heroes. While most were inextricably bound together by their past, and they were also inextricably bound to all of us by their futures, they enriched our schools and universities and invigorated our neighborhoods and communities. They wove themselves into the tapestry of our lives, extending across a vast expanse from Vancouver to Halifax, Edmonton to Vaughan, Winnipeg to Montreal, and of course, right here in Toronto. They represented a veritable kaleidoscope of talent. Indeed, they leave an indelible mark by the embarrassment of riches and industry they contributed to their friendships, neighborhoods, and colleagues. Their passing leaves us as an unfillable crater of loss. We recognize in them someone we loved, admired, or looked up to. We have walked in their shoes. Their stories are our stories. We shared their values and their steely determination. This country is mourning the loss of their inspiring imprint on each of us as individuals and the mark they collectively left on our land. In the past several days, Canadians have demonstrated that their purpose and passion impacted all of us. Thousands upon thousands have gathered at vigils and memorials from coast to coast, while our flags have been lowered to half-mast at Parliament Hill, provincial legislatures, municipal sites, and universities such as this. They continued to aspire, and we will continue to be inspired. We will cherish their memories and remain indebted by their contributions. They honored us by the spirited manner in which they lived their lives. In the end, it was not the years in their lives, but the inordinate life in their years that allowed each to leave an enduring legacy. They are no longer by our sides, but will forever remain in our hearts. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome to the podium the Deputy Prime Minister of Canada, the Honorable Chrystia Freeland, who, as you know, has been spending much time with the relatives and who has graciously agreed to attend to offer condolences on behalf of the federal government. Please welcome the Deputy Prime Minister.
Let me start by saying thank you very much, Ali, for those moving words and for the work you've done to bring us all together here. Thank you to all the people of Tehran for the work you've done to create this moment for our community and our country to come together. Chancellor, good to be here with you. Mayor Tory, thank you for your moving words. Premier Ford, we look forward to hearing from you too. Je voudrais commencer en exprimer les plus sincères condoléances de notre Premier ministre Justin Trudeau. J'ai parlé avec le Premier ministre très tôt le matin du 8 janvier et je veux assurer tout le monde ici que pour le Premier ministre, cette tragédie est une tragédie canadienne. Et c'est l'enjeu le plus important pour lui. Il est aujourd'hui à Edmonton pour partager les condoléances de tout notre pays avec les gens de Edmonton et de l'Alberta. I'd like to start by talking about two people. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity we've all had to get to know a little bit more of the people we've lost. I'd like to talk about Mohammed Asad Ilari. We've seen his picture earlier today. He had been at UBC and he was at U of T. He was studying in a PhD, MD program here. And he was the co-founder of STEM Fellowship and a group called the Canadian Association of Physician Innovators and Entrepreneurs. As you can tell, he was pretty smart, and he was also so energetic and entrepreneurial and committed. He loved Canada, and he thought we should be doing a better job at turning our ideas into companies. And he was so committed to that. And I know that because I met him not too long ago, maybe 200 meters from here, and he cornered me and he said, "Minister, the government has to do more about this and I need to meet with you and talk to you about it." He was such a brilliant young man and such a terrific Canadian. And he was traveling with his sister, Zainab, who was also at the U of T doing an honors Bachelor of Science. And I'd like to talk about another young woman. Her name was Saba Sadat. We've seen her picture too. She was an undergraduate doing a Bachelor of Science at U of A. Her professor described how when Saba came to the lab, it was as if a shining star had arrived. She was doing research on the placenta, working with her professor and her team to find ways to help us, to help people more safely carry children and more safely give birth. And her professor said even though she was an undergraduate, she was already making tremendous scientific contributions. She would have been, and I'm quoting her professor, a brilliant doctor, a brilliant obstetrician and gynecologist. That was her intention. And she was on the plane with her sister Sarah and her mother, Shekoufe Chopinajad, who was a very well-known and beloved obstetrician and gynecologist in Edmonton, known for all the help she had provided to thousands of women and children and for her charitable work. Their father and husband was in Iran with them, but he stayed back and wasn't on that plane. We have lost such incredible people. This is this university's loss. This is Toronto's loss. This is Ontario's loss. And this is Canada's loss. Nothing will ever replace these brilliant lives that have been cut short. We will always have this scar. We will always bear these scars. Now, though, is the time for all of us to come together in our loss. Vancouver and Montreal and Halifax, Edmonton and Toronto, and all of Canada's cities and towns. Now is the time for BC and Nova Scotia, Alberta, and for us here in Ontario to come together in this sad, sad time. And now is time for Iranian Canadians and all other Canadians to come together. As Canadians, we remember together. We mourn together, and we will seek answers together. We will seek accountability together, and we will seek and we will get justice together. We saw on January 8th that the world can be very dark, very cruel, truly incomprehensibly so. The world can be a hateful place. Let us show in these days to come, as we come together as Canadians, that the world can also be a place of solidarity, a place of compassion, a place of hope, a place of justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister.
با هم بدرقه میکنیم. چهارمین گروه مسافران پرواز 752.
We now say goodbye to the fourth group of passengers of flight number 752.
Suzanne Golbaba-Pur, age 49, from Richmond Hill, Ontario. سوزان از اعضای خانواده تیرگانه که یاد و خاطرش برای همیشه با ماست.
Pune Gorji, age 25, and Arash Pourzarabi, age 26, from Edmonton, master students at the University of Alberta. The couple traveled to Iran to get married and celebrate with their family and friends there.
Sahar Haqju, age 37, and her beautiful daughter, Elsa Jadidi, Age 8, Sahar worked at YWCA Toronto to help settle immigrant and refugee women in Canada.
Bahar Hajisfan Diari. Bahar Hajisfan Diari. Age 41 with her husband Mohammad Sadiqi, age 43, and their beautiful girl, Anissa Sadiqi, age 10, from Winnipeg.
Sadaf Haji Aghaband, age 27, from Toronto.
Nilufar Razaghi, age 45, with her husband Ardalan Ibnuddin Hamidi, age 48, and their son Kamyar Ibnuddin Hamidi, age 15, from Vancouver area.
Sarah Hamzei, age 34, with her husband, Amir Ovaisi, age 42, with their beautiful daughter, Asala Ovaisi, age 6.
Hadis Hayat Davoudi, a PhD student at Western University who studied electrochemistry.
Pedram Jadidi, age 28, a PhD student in civil engineering at the University of Windsor. Pedram went home to Iran to mark the first anniversary of his father's death.
Shadi Jamshidi, age 31, from Mississauga.
Muhammad Amin Jebeli, age 29, a master's student at the University of Toronto.
We now invite Member of Provincial Parliament, Michael Parsa, to the stage.
Chancellor, Deputy Prime Minister, Premier, Your Worship, all my colleagues from all levels of government, and all of you. Hello everyone, Salam, wa durud bar shoma. As we gather here today, still reeling from this tragic loss, I first want to say how incredibly heartwarming it has been to see the outpouring love and support for our community. The last few days have been profoundly difficult for all of us as we mourn the loss of 176 souls on board flight PS 752. Like many of you, I knew several of the victims of this devastating tragedy. Many of those on board were not just fellow Canadians. They were our friends and neighbors. They were our parents, grandparents, children. There were engineers, doctors, students. 8 of those were members of the community right here at the University of Toronto, which goes to show you how devastating these losses have been to so many people. Today we stand here together to remember all the lives we lost and to remember the contributions they made to the community, to the lives of everyone who knew them. Universities are places to gather together to share knowledge in the spirit of human decency and for the betterment of all people. They're also places to speak out against injustices like this one. It's deeply disturbing that all of those innocent lives could have been short, so short in a blink of an eye, and for no good reason at all. I'm shocked. It's hard to comprehend how or why something so sad could happen to so many good people. I'm grieving for the loss of my friends, and I'm upset at the circumstances under which their lives were taken. Now that the Iranian regime has admitted fault for this heartbreaking disaster, we must make sure that we do everything in our power to ensure that the regime is held to account for what they have done. And to the families of friends in our community, I promise you, we will not rest until justice is served. Today, I know many of us are feeling a range of emotions, but I plead with everyone that although we may be angry, and although we may be sad, I urge all of us to come together in grief. As many of you know, Rumi, the great Persian philosopher, is always a source of guidance in difficult times. Allow me to recite a very short poem of his on grief. Don't run away from grief, O soul. Look for the remedy inside the pain, because the rose came from the thorn and the ruby came from a stone. Even after a loss like this, we can still take solace in each other. We can still focus on what unites us, and we can try to harness our emotions constructively to comfort and support those who have lost loved ones. As you seek answers, justice, and closure during this incredibly difficult time, know that I stand with you. As you grieve, know that your fellow Canadians share your pain and sorrow. We will get through this together, and we will emerge stronger. Please accept my deepest condolences on behalf of myself, my family, and know that we stand shoulder to shoulder with you. به عنوان یک هموطن منو تو غم خودتون شریک بدونید. I would now like to ask Premier Doug Ford to come on stage and share with us a few words on behalf of all our colleagues on behalf of the provincial government.
My friends, my heart is broken thinking of the victims of this absolute terrible, terrible tragedy and the suffering of all the loved ones. Chancellor, Deputy Prime Minister, what beautiful words you had to say, Mr. Mayor, Michael. You're absolutely amazing, as I say, one of my all-star MPPs. My friends, my heart goes out, my condolences go out to everyone in the Iranian community. My heart goes out to 4 people very close to me. Michael, Parsa, Goldie Gamari, part of my team. One of my best friends, my principal secretary, Amin Masudi. My head of my security detail, Rashid, I know you're here somewhere. Again, my heart goes out to you. As we learn more about the victims in the scale of this unthinkable tragedy, it becomes more apparent. So many bright, well-educated people. And there's one thing when you see the names come through, is how young each and every victim was, and how it affected not only our community, but our nation's community. There were students, researchers, professors, so many other professionals that we have lost. Good people, full of life, families, children, and parents. And I know that many of you knew the victims personally, as Michael was saying. They're part of our community, and they touched all of us. And I know the Iranian community is in pain right now, but I want you to know that you are not alone. The people of this province stand behind you. The nation and the world mourns with you. And I know, standing shoulder to shoulder with our federal government, we will bring these people to justice. The world will bring these people to justice. Minister, as you know, we're working closely with the federal government. I've talked to the Prime Minister twice. You're putting unbelievable teams together to support the families in the community. And the families and community of Ontario, please do not hesitate to reach out to my office, to reach out to Michael's office. If you want to talk, if you want to come by, if you want to visit, if you need support, please reach out to us. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.
من راه خانه را گم کردم ریرا. میان راه فقط صدای تو نشانی ستاره بود که راه را بی دلیل راه جسته بودیم. بی راه و بی شمال، بی راه و بی جنوب، بی راه و بی رویا. تیرگان از عزیزترین اعضای خانواده‌اش را در این فاجعه از دست داد. پریناز و ایمان قادر پناه، پریسا و ریرا اسماعیلیون و سوزان گل بابا پور. از حضورتون دعوت میکنم تا دل بسپارین به صدای گلرخ امینیان و موسیقی امیر رهبر.
It was pouring down rain yesterday, and it was very hard to breathe. So I decided to step out for a very, very long walk. The next few lines that you're about to hear is the result of that. The terrible moment, the way I see it. بزن بارون، بزن بارون، بباری ابر بی سامون، ز کوچه نابهنگام دو چشمانم شده جیهون امونم رو بریده ظلم دیو سرزمین خون سپهر از سرخی گلهای پرپر گشتمون گلگون دست و دل تنگ جهان تنگ خدایا چه کنم خدایا چه کنم خدایا چه کنم منو یک حوصله تنگ خدایا چه کنم خدایا چه کنم خدایا چه کنم آتم بال و پر ریختم بس باشد ماتم بال و پر ریختم بس باشد خویش را تنگ دل از دیدن صحرا چه کنم خدایا خدایا چه سنگ بر سینه زنم شیشه دل می شکنم سنگ بر سینه زنم شیشه دل می شکنم نزنم در چنین کرده تقاضا چه کنم
با هم بدرقه میکنیم. پنجمین گروه مسافران پرواز 752.
We now say goodbye to the fifth group of passengers from flight number 752.
بهار کرمی مقدم, age 33, from Toronto.
Saeed Kashani, age 30, from Ottawa, was a PhD student in chemistry at the University of Ottawa.
Fatemeh Faye Kazarani, age 32, and her husband, Mohammad Daniel Saket, age 33, from North Vancouver.
Furuq Khadem, age 38, from Winnipeg. She was a scientist who completed her PhD in immunology at the University of Manitoba and was focused on developing immunity to leishmaniasis, a deadly infectious disease.
Dr. Firuze Madani, age 54, and her husband, Dr. Nasser Pushaban Oshaibi, age 53, from North Vancouver.
Fatemeh Mahmoudi, age 31, from Halifax.
Maryam Malik, age 41, from Halifax.
Fereshte Maleki Dizechi, age 47, from Ottawa.
Mohammad Moini, age 35, mechanical designer from Walcourt, Quebec.
Elbaz Nabii, age 30, from Edmonton, a PhD student at the University of Alberta.
Farzaneh Naderi, age 38, and his loving son, Nojan Sadr, age 11.
Zahra Naghibi, age 44, from Windsor, Ontario, a civil engineer and a PhD student at the University of Windsor. We now invite the Professor of Historical Studies, History, and Near and Middle Eastern Civilizations at the University of Toronto, Dr. Mohammad Tavakkoli Taghi, to the stage.
On behalf of the University of Toronto student, faculty, and staff, I would like to offer our sincere condolences to you all and to those worldwide who have lost their relatives, friends, and community members on flight PS 752. Since early Monday morning, when I learned about the tragic downing of flight PS 752, I have been reflecting on the departing exchanges between our Iranian Canadian friends and community members and their relatives at Tehran's International Airport. While the exact wordings could be different, in the mix of hugs, kisses, and tears, the general sentiments expressed must have been خدا حافظ به امید دیدار دوست دارم رسیدی زنگ بزن زودتر برگرد ما رو یادت نره goodbye see you soon love you call me when you arrive come back sooner do not forget us the tragic downing of the plane dashed many hopes, many promises of return and reunion, and the promises of calling and coming back, along with broken hearts and families, grieving relatives, friends, neighbors, and strangers. Their absence here in Canada also disrupted works, schedules, appointments, payments, and left many beds, seats, and homes empty. In the past few days of national mourning, we have learned many details about the passengers of PS 752, details that conventionally remain confidential. We have learned about their cosmopolitanism, generosity, high level of education, expertise, and diverse and immense professional skills. As a microcosm of the immigrant communities in North America and Europe, their profiles fundamentally challenges the populist anti-immigrant narratives. As we mourn the loss of our dual compatriots, I hope that anti-immigrant populists in North America and Europe take a reflective look at the profile of our lost friends and community members and think critically about their erroneous assumptions. What is evident from the PS 752 is that immigrants immensely enrich their communities and with their professional talents, skills, dedication, and goodwills. Contrary to the prevalent stereotypes, they are often harbingers of cosmopolitanism, civility, and democratic generosity, and creators of new professional opportunities. As we mourn and grieve the loss of our friends, neighbors, and community members, it is essential not to forget their dependents here in Canada and those that they have left behind in Iran. Many of our Canadian friends who traveled back to Iran for the holidays, they went to visit and to help their ailing and fragile parents, grandparents, and their elder and teenage relatives. We must keep their promises and help their dependents, both here and in Iran, in seeking accountability, justice, and compensation for their dependents, as clearly witnessed in the past week. We need the active, sustained, and enlightened engagement of the Canadian government in all fronts to commemorate the tragic loss of 57 Canadians with the help of our federal, provincial, and municipal governments. Let us keep their memories and dreams alive and deliver their promises to their dependents, both here and there. Thank you.
با هم بدرقه می‌کنیم. ششمین گروه مسافران پرواز 752.
We now say goodbye to the sixth group of passengers on flight number 752.
میلاد نهاوندی, age 34, a civil engineer and a PhD candidate at the University of Windsor from London.
Dr. Farhad Niknam, age 44, from Toronto.
Azal Nourian, a PhD student in mechanical engineering from Western University.
Alma Oladi, age 26 from Ottawa, was a PhD student studying mathematics at the University of Ottawa.
Roja Omidbakhsh from Victoria.
Ayeshe Pourqaderi, age 36, and her beautiful daughter Fatimeh Passovand, age 17, from North Vancouver.
Ali Reza Ali Pei, age 48, an entrepreneur and CEO of the tech startup Message Hopper in Canada, Ontario.
Mansour Pourjam, age 53, from Ottawa.
Shahab Rana from Montreal.
Nasim Rahmanifar from Edmonton, a master's student in the University of Alberta's Mechanical Engineering Department. We now invite the Associate Professor of English at Ryerson University, Dr. Nima Naghibi.
Chancellor, Deputy Prime Minister, Premier Ford, distinguished members of Parliament, and other dignitaries. I'd like to begin with a few words from the writer Joan Didion, whose thoughts on loss and grief are particularly apt today. Life changes fast. Life changes in the instant. The ordinary instant. You sit down to dinner, and life as you know it ends. These words resonate deeply with all of us, especially the families who are now mourning the lives of 176 innocent people on board Flight 752. 138 of those people were headed to Canada, 57 of them Iranian Canadians. What matters more than their citizenship, the passport they were carrying, is the fact that all 176 innocents became, in an instant, human collateral. In an instant, whole families were destroyed. In an instant, somebody lost their spouse, their child, their sibling, their friend, their life as they knew it. I am honored and humbled to be part of this Tirgan Memorial event as we remember and honor the lives of so many bright, accomplished, exceptional people who were in Canada as students, as professors, as dentists, as engineers, as doctors, as professionals of many kinds, and most importantly, as good, decent people who were building happy, successful, fulfilling lives. I grieve for all the families and friends of those lovely people who are now lost to us. The family of 4 from Edmonton, Pedram Mousavi and Mojgan Daneshband, both engineering professors at the University of Alberta, their young daughters also on that flight. Maya Zibai, a grade 10 student at Northern Secondary School in Toronto. Sharia Farihi, a dentist in Halifax and an alumna of Dalhousie Dental School. Parisa and Rira, the wife and young daughter of Dr. Hamed Esmailioun, who survives them. 2 Ryerson University engineering alumni, Mahsa Amir Liravi and Mohsen Salohi, class of 2018. The list goes on. Each one of these 176 victims, each one of these 57 Iranian Canadians was loved and claimed by friends and families in Canada, in Iran, and elsewhere across the globe. Each of them represented the best of our society, hardworking, intelligent, successful, thoughtful, loving, and loved. Since it's not possible for me to speak about each individual person in the allotted time, I would like to take just a moment to talk briefly about 2 of the people whom I knew personally and whose loss has affected my family. Iman and Parinaz Qadirpana, a beautiful young couple, were our beloved family friends. I remember speaking with Parinaz once shortly after her birthday, and she told me that she had spent her birthday evening at CAMH, the Center for Addiction and Mental Health. Parinaz regularly volunteered with at-risk youth struggling with mental health issues. She had a standing date with one teenage boy with whom she regularly played cards and board games, keeping him company, making him feel valued and loved. It so happened that the date of one of their regular meetings fell on her birthday. It was important to her to keep her appointment with this young man because she knew he was suffering, that he needed comfort and attention and consistency, and she refused to reschedule their appointment merely to celebrate her own birthday. Her husband, Iman, was equally kind and generous. Iranian newcomers to Toronto often found themselves in his guiding hands. He committed himself to helping them get settled in the city. He had a big, generous heart, and both he and Parinaz devoted their time outside of work to helping and taking care of others. They would visit my parents' home often, bringing with them their kind and generous spirits that warmed every gathering. What makes their story especially tragic is that as Flight 752 was brought down, Iman's sister, Afsaneh, was in Toronto delivering her first child, a beautiful baby girl. The way Iman and Parinaz threw themselves into and embraced life in Toronto is just one example of the kinds of contributions that all of these precious individuals made to Canada. Prime Minister Trudeau has called this event a national tragedy. Indeed, the outpouring of support that the Canadian government, the Canadian media, and members of the public have shown has been deeply comforting, validating our sense of ourselves as members of Canadian society and as proud and productive members of the Iranian diaspora in Canada. The number of messages I personally have received from close friends to acquaintances sharing with me their horror and grief has been heartwarming and serves as a reminder that my parents made the right decision in 1982 when they took my sister and me by the hand and chose Canada as a landing place. According to Didion, with whom I began this speech, grief is something that happens to you. It is a passive emotion. Mourning, however, the act of dealing with grief, requires careful work and attention. This is the work facing us now, to mourn with attention and care, to remember the lives that have been lost, and to honor their memories by being the best people we can be in our own lives. Let us strive to be the best child, spouse, parent, friend, colleague we can be with those with whom we interact in our daily lives. The best way of honoring the victims of Flight 752 is to transform our grief into kindness and care for each other. Let us turn to each other for comfort and support. Let us remember that love and empathy and compassion remind us of what it means to be human, and remind us also of the fragility and vulnerability of life itself. In this era of political strife and uncertainty across the globe, we would do well to honor the tragic loss of these precious individuals with gratitude for the gifts they shared with us in their short yet rich lives. Let us make a commitment to live our own lives with kindness and generosity and passion, just as these 57 remarkable Canadians did. Thank you.
آخر چگونه این همه رویای نانهال، نکشوده گل هنوز، ننشسته در بهار، میپژمرد به جان من و خاک میشود. در من چه وعده هاست، در من چه هجر هاست، در من چه دست ها به دعا مانده روز و شب. اینها چه میشود؟ آخر چگونه این همه عشاق بیشمار، آواره از دیار، یک روز بی صدا، در کور راه ها همه خاموش می شوند. باور کنم که دخترکان سفید بخت بی وصل و نامراد بالای بام ها و کنار دریاچه ها چشم انتظار یار سیاه پوش می شوند. باور نمی کنم که عشق نهان می شود به گور بی آن که سر کشد گل عصیانیش ز خاک. این ذره ذره گرمی خاموشوار ما یک روز بیگمان سر میزند جایی و خورشید می شود. تا دوست داریم، تا دوست دارمت، تا اشک ما به گونه هم می چکد ز مهر، تا هست در زمان یکی جان دوستدار، کی مرگ می تواند نام مرا بروبد از یاد روزگار. من مرگ هیچ عزیزی را باور نمی کنم. We now invite Kianush Khalilian to play Danae. با هم بدرقه میکنیم. آخرین گروه مسافران پرواز 752.
We now say goodbye to the final group of passengers from flight number 752.
Zahra Hassani Saadi, age 27, and her husband, Mohammad Saleh, age 32, a PhD student at the University of Toronto.
Kasra Saati, age 47, from Calgary.
Dr. Neda Sadiqi, from Richmond Hill, Ontario.
Nilufar Sadr, age 61, from Montreal.
Amir Hossein Saidiniya, a PhD student in the Mechanical Engineering Department at the University of Alberta.
Sajide Sarayan, age 26, from London, Ontario, a graduate student at Western University.
Sheida Shadku, age 41, from Markham, Ontario.
Alina Tarbai, age 31, and her mother Afifa Tarbai, age 55, from Markham, Ontario.
Darya Toghian, age 22, from Toronto.
Maya Zibai, age 15, from Toronto. We now invite our last speaker, international lawyer and professor at McGill University, Dr. Payam Akhavan. I'm sorry.
جهانا چه بدمهر و بدگوهری که خود پرورانی و خود بشکری چه جویی همیزین سرای سپنج که آغاز رنج است و فرجام رنج از صمیم قلب مرگ فاجعه بار عزیزانمان را به بازماندگان آنها به دو ملت ایران و کانادا و به عالم بشریت که چنین گوهرهای درخشانی را از دست داد تسلیت می‌گویم. On the outskirts of Tehran, the fragments of what was once a journey of many dreams lies scattered across a bleak landscape. Amidst the twisted metal and clothing littering the scorched earth, there is a single red shoe of a child. It has a pretty bow, slightly singed by the flames that engulfed flight PS-752 in its last moments before it crashed from the sky in a great ball of fire, bringing to a sudden end so many stories yet to be told, so many joys yet to be discovered. The little shoe made me think of one-year-old Kurdia, whose parents Evin and Hiva had taken her halfway across the world from Canada to Iran to celebrate a wedding. Persian weddings, we jokingly say, need a football stadium to accommodate the guests. How many adoring grandparents and elders, aunts and uncles, cousins and friends must have smothered little Cordia with affectionate kisses, seeing her for the first time, not knowing it would also be the last. It seems to be the fate of people in the Middle East to suffer. Some weeks earlier, hundreds of Iranian youth were shot on the streets of Tehran for protesting corruption, crying for freedom, and their loved ones were arrested for mourning their loss. Mothers and fathers, have been killed by barrel bombs in Aleppo and Idlib, standing in a bread line to appease the unbearable pain of hunger. And it is only a matter of time before we witness yet again those desperate to flee such horrors, drowning in the depths of the Mediterranean while trying to cross the forbidding sea in rubber dinghies in search of a better world. And now, the grim sight of a long succession of body bags amidst the wreckage of the aircraft that carried so many on their way home to Canada, the country that opened its doors to them, answering their dream of a better future. One tries to be philosophical at a time like this. Death is our wedding with eternity, the great mystic Rumi wrote. It is difficult to reconcile that wisdom with the horrors the hapless passengers must have experienced in their final moments. Yet, just as weddings are a communal experience that teach us what it means to belong, so too, communal grief and mourning shows us in the hour of darkness the astonishing light of the human spirit, the inextricable ties that bind us together. In Tehran and Montreal, Windsor and Guelph, Edmonton and Vancouver, Halifax and London, across this vast space which we call Canada, people have lost family and friends, neighbors and colleagues, teachers and students. This isn't just another horrible thing happening out there in that other world of suffering that momentarily intrudes on our lives of privilege, trivialized by a tweet or a fleeting Facebook post soon to be forgotten. Now it is happening to us. We who call ourselves Canadians, who imagine belonging as something beyond the ties of blood and soil, a transcendent connection built on a shared humanity. Now we mourn the loss that has become ours for the simple reason that we have come to live in the same place, in a common home, a wonderful and precious place where amidst grief and suffering, compassion reigns supreme. Just as joyous celebrations define who we are, communal bereavement, healing together, whether it is with our Indigenous brothers and sisters who were here before us, or with the recent immigrant returning home from a previous home, teaches us what it means to be human, what it means to be Canadian. Today, we are united at the core. Today, we are emancipated from all the superficial divisions and distractions that we often confuse with true meaning. Goodbyes are only for those who love with their eyes, Rumi wrote. Because for those who love with their heart and soul, there is no separation. به امید روزی که به جای سوگواری در غربت در ایران آزاد با هم جشن بگیریم.
Once again, we'd like to thank everyone for joining us today, and also thank our supporters for helping organize this event.
Hallmark Giving,
Sharif University of Technology Association, Toronto.
Persica Management and Quality Association,
Canadian Society of Iranian Engineers and Architects.
کارآفرین Canada Entrepreneurship Network,
Yara Leadership Society,
Professional Iranian Canadian Real Estate Association,
Intercultural Iranian Canadian Resource Center,
Canadian Society of Iranian Food and Nutritional Scientists,
Canadian Iranian Medical Association,
Iranian Ontario Dental Association,
Iranian Students Association of Ryerson University,
Iranian Canadian Builders Association,
Iranian Association at the University of Toronto.
iBridges Canada. یک بار دیگه از تک تکتون برای حضورتون امروز سپاسگزاری میکنیم. دستهای همدیگر رو بگیرید. حواستون به هم باشه. تنتون سلامت. صبرتون بیش.